Hello guys, welcome to Talking News. Please like and subscribe right now so you don't forget. Also hit that notification bell if you would like notifications. Whew, guys, I'm not even awake yet. So, we've been talking about the Kelsey Berreth case starting today. I forgot to mention that they will be doing jury selection for the next could be 2 days. And it could be the end of the week before you even hear opening statements. So really we can expect to really get into the nitty-gritty probably starting next week sometime. Now I realized it wasn't until after I made that video I forgot to talk about a couple of subjects that meant a lot to me, but I was in a big hurry yesterday. And we were going over the evidence that might be presented in this case. But one of those things I forgot to talk about was the blood that they found in the sink that was not, it was a male's DNA, but it wasn't Patrick Frazee. I also forgot to speak about how strong this evidence is. The fact that they don't have the remains of Kelsey Berreth and the fact that they do not have a weapon, plus the fact that the DNA found in that sink was not Patrick Frazee, kind of says that we're hearing that could be very weak evidence. The most they have is Crystal Lee Kinney to testify as a witness to what she's seen. And so right now she is the star witness. She's also the most hated woman in the world. I forgot to mention the fact that there was some DNA in that house and it wasn't Patrick Frazee's. The thing is a lot of people are suspecting that Crystal Lee, when she mentioned the fact I left evidence behind for you to find, possibly she was setting up somebody else and trying to make sure that her lover or friend could get away with this. Don't forget, guys, they have been sitting and planning this. She drove many, many miles, many, many times to meet with Patrick Frazee to talk about plans of how to kill her. And now on 3 occasions that are the most popular, there's a 4th one, she actually tried to kill Kelsey Berreth, but says she didn't have the guts to do so. I want to mention, guys, that a lot of experts are saying that this case will live or die because of the nurse. So it's kind of, you need her testimony. But God, you hate the fact that she's basically getting away with murder herself. So while law experts point the fingers, or actually they give their expertise saying that they feel that this case is pretty weak, like I mentioned earlier, no body, no weapon. To be honest, everybody really we don't have all the evidence presented to us at this time. Will there be more evidence out there that people are not aware of? So, we've heard about the chances of the prosecution and all of them. They've mentioned that there has been other pieces of evidence. In fact, those evidence really took a lot of time before finally they got the approval to even test. It was consumptive testing, and a lot of people are thinking it's probably the tooth of Kelsey Berreth that we've heard about that they found. Well, we've heard different stories where they found it, but the most popular story is that they found this tooth in a baggie at Patrick Frazee's home. We never did hear the outcome of that consumptive testing. If I can talk, guys. I mean, we've heard that you can prosecute without having a body. It's possible, and without a weapon, but um, how harsh. So now the death penalty is off the table, which is frustrating for a lot of people, considering how harsh this murder was. So it's an automatic life sentence if he is guilty. Now, prosecutors also said that they weren't gonna sentence, if I can think today, guys, Crystal Lee Kinney until after Patrick Frazie's trial. So why do you think they're doing that? Place it in the comments. I'm not going to say right here, right now, why I think that. But I do think that was kind of a smart move to do so. So usually at the beginning of this, let's talk about Crystal. At the beginning of this case, she lied to authorities. She was caught lying multiple times. How will this affect this court case? So what could happen is the defense can actually use that against her. They'll say that, she's lied before. She's good at fabricating lies. So why isn't she lying now? And why in the world would she lie so perfectly at the beginning and then change her mind? She must have realized that this was going to be pinned on her if she didn't start talking. They didn't know what they would find, what evidence they obtained. She was first to crack. She's like, oh no, I can't take the fall for this completely. I'm going to use I think she was using her female power to flip those cards, because I do feel that there's a big chance that she disposed of Kelsey Berreth's remains. I do believe she played a way bigger part. I think she's smart enough to know, with the fact she mentions multiple times that she left some stuff there for the investigators to find. She's smart enough to know what she needs to do. She's been doing the research on it. She's been checking out how to get away with murder. In fact, the first time she mentioned that she was going to poison Kelsey Berreth, where was she going to get the poison from? Well, she's going to get that from work. So she knows how to obtain the items she needs to get the job done. So that male DNA, I believe they're going to find out she planted that in that townhome. If it's nobody Kelsey Berreth knows personally, and it's some random person that Kelsey Berreth had no ties to. Now I want to make sure I do mention that in exchange for her testimony, Lee agreed to plead guilty to evidence tampering. However, they are saying if her story falls apart, her deal is off the table. So a lot of people asked me in the last video, so what was the motive of all this? Well, the motive was very clear to me in the very beginning, before they even realized what the motive was, and that was the daughter. Well, we knew this was a concern by the most likely fabricated lie that he told Crystal Kinney, that, he was concerned that Kelsey Berreth might hurt the child, but the child was mentioned as a motive as to why he wanted her gone. They also found paperwork where he was insinuating he wanted custody of the child as well. There's perhaps another motive, and that motive was to start a new life with Crystal Lee Kinney. Perhaps he was using Crystal because they've known each other for many years, over 10 years. There's one thing he's good at, and so is Crystal Lee Kinney. They both are great at manipulating other people into getting what they want. Okay, guys, so who remembers Crystal Lee's friend Laura, who was, you know, pretty much saying there's no way that her Crystal could have done something like this? Laura had known Crystal Lee for, God, a long time. In fact, she's known her since she was a teenager, and all she could do when she finally seen all the evidence coming out and Crystal Lee say herself what happened is why. Laura said Crystal had it all. She had it all. And in a recent interview, she pretty much stated, there's no sentence imposed by the judge that can actually be more harsh than what her community will put on Crystal. She says that, but then again, you can see Michelle Stein. She's made multiple attempts to justify Crystal Lee Kinney's actions. Michelle Stein has been known to also lie and manipulate, and both her and Crystal have codes that they both said they use in order to cover up or fabricate something they're really doing in their life. They're usually to hide from their husbands. So Michelle Stein is part of that community, well, at least in her life, and she doesn't seem to have a problem at all with the fact that her friend possibly played a huge part in the murder of Kelsey Berreth. So, yeah, it's very shocking, isn't it? Times have changed, guys, and people are doing things that are so unexpected. And the fact that people are so supportive of other people that do evil things is very shocking to me still. Now, a lot of us have been trying to find out, so what's been going on with Crystal Lee and her life since this all happened? Well, really, we've not heard much on her at all. Nobody knows anything, what she's doing, how she's doing, and how she's handling all this. Where is she living? At least I haven't found any information on that. If you have, please drop it in the comments below. So, let's discuss again. Kelsey Berreth went missing Thanksgiving Day. Her mother calls 3 days later the Woodland Park police and says, can you do a wellness check on my daughter? I think I made a mistake now that I think about it on the last video. I said 10 days. So guys, sometimes I make mistakes. I'm not perfect. So it's about 3 days after Thanksgiving that her mother calls. I want to make sure that I go over this part as well. I don't think I did last time. But Kelsey Berreth's mother and brother drove from Washington, or they flew, I'm not certain, but they come from Washington to Woodland Park and stayed in Kelsey Berreth's townhome for a period of time. It was them that initially found the evidence in that townhome that turned this case around from a missing person to a possible homicide. I still say, if it was not for her family, we wouldn't be where we're at right now. And one of the things that Kelsey Berreth's mother stated about Kelsey Berreth was that she was reliable, loyal, and honest. Those are some big words, and those are some big pants to fill, because that's hard to find today. Looking back on Kelsey Berreth's history, talking with her friends, there is not one bad word that is ever said about Kelsey Berreth. And one really has to think, why did she deserve this if she's that great of a person? We can reflect back on the fact that she was this beautiful, perfect person, basically. She isn't that child abuser that Patrick Frazee was making her out to be either. I mean, he's bashing her after he already taken her life. You would think that taking her life was bad enough. But there's no lower than low when you bash somebody that is already gone. Patrick Frazee continued to drag her name through mud even in death. Could you imagine being the mother of Kelsey Berreth, watching the murderer of your child manipulate, lie, and drag your daughter's name through the mud? I want to state also, guys, please forgive my audio. My mic is going in and out. I have bought literally, this is like my 8th mic I have tried to use. So I've got this new mic now. Hopefully it doesn't fluctuate like what just happened. So I've loaded that Pinnacle and stuff. I know I told you guys that I was upgrading. I'm trying to learn how to use that now on my free time, and free time's my problem. But back to the fact that, you know, Patrick Frazee was dragging Kelsey Berreth's name through the mud. I know a lot of us were kind of suspicious of why in the world she moves all the way from Washington State to Woodland Park, the middle of nowhere, to be close to Patrick Frazee. But what we're hearing is these two hardly ever spent a lot of time together. He never, ever, what we're hearing, went to her townhome. That's what we're hearing right now. Now, that's not fact, but I guess we'll find out more later on. But what we're hearing is he didn't, he didn't spend nights with her or anything like that. And she was supposedly a fiance. And to a lot of us, that's very odd. We do know that Sheila Frazee, the mother of Patrick Frazee, seemed to have a very strong grip on her son. They seemed to have a very close relationship. And what was strange about that is you could feel and see that Patrick Frazee's mother, Sheila Frazee, could not stand Kelsey Berreth. And a lot of us are kind of guessing that it's most likely a jealousy thing. Now, they were going to have Sheila Frazee step up to speak as a witness, but she pled the fifth, which means most likely she seen something, and a lot of people believe that she seen Patrick Frazee and Crystal Lee Kinney burning the materials in that trough. So it does appear that you can see where the darker side of his personality most likely comes from. She has no remorse or regret, at least like in Savannah Spurlock's case. Remember, if you're familiar with that case, the parents of David Spark actually noticed this foul odor coming from their property, and they called not the police but the lawyers and informed them that there was something on the property that most likely shouldn't be there. Sheila Frazee is able to say, look, I can incriminate myself, so I'm not going to say a word. The truth is, she's not really worried about incriminating herself, but more so, incriminating her son more. That's what I truly believe. This whole situation and story, everybody involved, the majority of them, except for Linda, is a bunch of manipulating liars. That's how I feel personally. So I don't know how you guys feel. So what can we expect with this case? Well, it can go several different ways. And I really don't want to say right now. I want to wait until a little bit later on and then say where I think it's kind of going to go. And the reason why I want to do that is I just don't want to mess anything up for this case. God knows some of us have probably already said some things that can turn it in a different direction. But it hurts me to see that people are this evil in this world and who value no one's life. I mean, they just take it away like it's nothing. And we're seeing more and more of these stories, and that's absolutely frightening. And what scares me the most is Kelsey Berreth. We hear these ex-girlfriends of Patrick Frazee saying, he's a manipulator. They knew that he was some type of bad guy. But we never hear that from Kelsey Berreth, her mother, or anybody like that. In fact, on the day that Kelsey Berreth went missing, she had spoken to her mother several times, and they were talking about recipes. She was preparing a potato casserole for Patrick Frazee, making plans to spend Thanksgiving Day with him. And what people are saying is, why in the world is Kelsey Berreth not going over to his place with his family? Why are they living such separate lives? And Patrick Frazee says that, they would see each other when passing by. And most times that was passing off their daughter back and forth. And when this all happened, when she disappeared, a lot of people were very disappointed in the police, the Woodland Park police, because they just seemed so cold about this case. They would ask the police, what about Patrick Frazee not showing up to the press conference? He says, well, I don't know. You need to ask him that question. They say that Patrick Frazee's brother is on that police force. And to be honest, I've never been able to confirm that. I always got, distracted in why versus that. But a lot of people feel like the Woodland Park Police Department were not really doing that great of a job. And if it wasn't for Kelsey Berreth's mother, still, there would be nothing. Could you imagine being in that, in those shoes, where you're depending on the police to bring justice, but you're having to go in? I mean, you would probably do it anyway. As a parent, you would do this. You would look out for your kids. But if it wasn't for Kelsey Berreth's mother finding that evidence in that townhome, would they have ever found it? I keep falling back to that over and over again. And with everything that they did find, it was on toys, ceilings, walls, the toilet. How in the world could they have overlooked it? Because when they went in there, they had their mind set they weren't going to find it, perhaps. I am so happy that Cheryl Berreth come down from Washington and did what she did. But the pain that woman's going through, can you imagine? I mean, right now she does have custody of the daughter that Patrick Frazee and her daughter had. And, she seems like an amazing parent. But she not only lost her daughter, she had to deal with the fact that Patrick Frazee and Sheila Frazee were given a huge fight to keep that baby from Cheryl Berreth. So they took the life of Kelsey Berreth. Sorry guys, my birds. And then also tried to take the only thing she had left, which was the daughter. I'll never ever forget that press conference that Patrick Frazee was not at, and Kelsey Berreth's mother was there. And somebody asked the police chief, said, what are you going to pretty much title this case? And he says, well, we're treating it as a missing persons case. And if you watch the mother, after he says that, her head falls down, and you can just see the disappointment. You're not sure if the disappointment is in the fact that he's treating it like a missing persons case, or she knows something that we don't. It could be both. She could know something we don't, because she did find that evidence, and disappointed that the police are still treating it that way. And we probably won't ever know until after this trial, if she ever speaks, which I hope she decides to do. But my gut feeling is there's something not right with the Woodland Park police. Out of all the cases that I've covered so far, I have never ever seen investigators act like this group acted. They were certain that they were not going to jump to any conclusions, even with the evidence that they had. So we can only hope that the judge and the jury are able to bring the justice that this family's not able to get right now. Hopefully they can see through those lies and manipulation. And I mean, somebody's got to pay for this. This is a horrific act. Now, before I forget, the police, so I'm not leaving them on a bad note. I just wasn't happy with them at the beginning. They ended up bringing in tons of equipment and investigators to Patrick Frazie's ranch and doing a thorough search. But we all know that most likely Kelsey Berreth's remains would not be there, and they would be lucky to find anything there. They did find something, but we won't talk about that right now. So what you can look forward to is I will be updating you on where this case is going and how it's going. And we can only hope that the two manipulators are able to throw each other under the bus, and that somehow prosecution will get that final piece of the puzzle that will lock these two behind bars for their entire lives. I still believe, if you think about it, why would Crystal stay for the entire process of the trough incident? What was the purpose of her staying that long and being there for that? I still say, I believe that she did take part in disposing of Kelsey Berreth. I still believe that she played a huge role in every part of this, in every aspect of this horrific incident. And I really hope that investigators will focus, because we still have weeks to go, sending people on that route that Crystal took. Use the hints that they've gotten from her and find those remains. I mean, she had it's a huge area, and it's going to be hard, but they're going to have to be determined. At least keep trying. I hope they are. Okay, guys, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and end it here, because I hit my max, because I'm still doing this on the phone. And I want to say, you know, my heart is truly in this case. I know yours is too if you're watching this video. This case had a huge impact on so many people. Just remember, guys, I am human. I do make mistakes. I can't hold 100% perfect information. I have people that have said something about how I pronounce something. I'm like, come on, guys, that's the worst you can do. So anyways, I will try to update you guys more as this goes along. I want to say thank you so much for watching, guys. Thanks for caring, most of all, because this case needs to stay in the light. We must bring justice for Kelsey Berreth and her family. Sending out hugs to the family and to you guys, because you are my family, and I appreciate everything you guys have done. You're just the most amazing bunch of people. All right, guys. I guess I'll talk to you soon.